Hello, my name is Miss Taylor, and this video will take you through the highlights of the syllabus for Introduction to Engineering Design. You will see in the center of the syllabus my name and my email address. Make sure you have my email address. That is hands down the best way for you to get in touch with me. For this class, if you look at the upper left in the supply list, you will need a few things to come with you to class each day. One of those is your engineering notebook. We will supply you with an engineering notebook. It is a huge part of IED, learning how to document your engineering design process. So much of IED is more about the process that you go through to design things. Even more important than the final product is like learning how to think like an engineer. And so your engineering notebook will be super important for that. You will need a calculator for this class. Scientific or graphing is best, and you can probably use whatever you're using for your math class. You need something to write with, and you will need your school-issued laptop. IED does spend quite a bit of time in a program called Fusion 360, which is a CAD design program, and some of you, we hope, will test for industry certification in Fusion 360 before the end of the year, and you will need your school-issued laptop to download that program, and you want it on your school-issued laptop because then you can take it home. A few years ago, we used a different program, and it was only available on the school laptops, which meant that students could practice their design skills at home. So you do want to make sure you have your school-issued laptop. For class expectations, be present and on time. Bring your supplies. Be responsible with the classroom supplies, and there will be more about that on the next slide. Cell phones should not be out. They should not be in your lap unless there's an activity where you are specifically using your cell phone for that activity, which there are in IED. But if it's not one of those activities, it needs to be away. Be respectful of all class members and comply with all school rules. Keep in mind things like dress code, tardies, late passes, hall passes, that sort of thing, especially hats. Hats are the kind of thing that if you're wearing them in class, it's the teacher that gets nailed for you wearing it in class. In the little box to the right there, communicate. We all have bad days. All of us do, including your teachers. So if you have an issue, if there's something going on that is going to interfere with your ability to fully participate in class, you need to tell me. You need to let me know what's going on. Don't wait until there's an incident. Don't wait until like the 15th time that I've told you to pick your head up or something before you decide like, oh, by the way. I will do what I can to help you out and to be understanding. And there will be days when I'm having a bad day and I will need that, kind of grace from you. So just be sure that you're communicating. Grading policy. Grades are done on a total point system. Grades can include homework, include activities, classwork, assessments. We don't have a whole lot of assessments in IED, but we do have a few, like especially some pre and post tests and that sort of thing. Details will be discussed in class. A points-based system just means that every assignment has a certain number of points assigned to it, and your grade at the end of the quarter is the number of points you earned divided by the number of points that you could have earned. Late work is accepted for late credit, but you must fill out a late work form for every late assignment. And that does include assignments that you might still be getting full credit for, like if you were absent and you're turning in full credit, but you still need to turn in that late form. Okay, and that late form will be posted on Teams. The number of accepted late assignments will be adjusted every quarter. Underneath my picture on the screen there, it does say extra help. Typically, IED students don't need lots of like tutoring extra help, but it does happen, especially if you are absent for a lesson in the CAD program and you need help like catching up or going over some of the material in the CAD. So tutoring sessions are usually scheduled after school from 2:10 till 3 o'clock. The specific day will be announced, and the specific day may change. So I do coach Marathon High for the school, and our season runs from like early October to about mid-February, and that will interfere with like when I'm available after school. You can also make arrangements for other times by appointment, and by appointment just means that you set it up with me in advance. You don't just pop into my room and say, hey, stay after school today. Feel free to email me or see me before or after class to set up a time if you need to go over some things. And then the last part that's down in the right-hand corner there is come prepared with specific assignments on which to work. So don't show up after school and just say, well, I don't know anything, or I need you to go over everything. Like, I haven't done anything on this whole project and I need to catch it up. We only have 50 minutes and you might not be the only one in here during that 50 minutes. So I can't teach you an entire week's worth of material in 50 minutes. So you need to come prepared. You need to know exactly what questions you have to go over or have a specific goal in mind and keep it realistic. We're going to have 50 minutes together before you and I have to split. So don't try to bite off too much. Above that, you'll see the Teams icon. Assignments and makeup work will be posted regularly on Teams, and you are expected to check Teams whenever you are absent. Teams is also your main avenue for posting questions and arranging for extra help. You are strongly encouraged to download the Teams app onto a phone or tablet so that you can access materials easily and contact me effectively. So make sure that you are checking Teams. Coming out of the 2021 school year, we had lots of absences, lots of quarantines. At the time that I'm recording this, I don't know what the next school year is going to look like. And so hopefully that's something that you're used to some extent, is making sure that you are checking Teams. So what shouldn't happen is a lot of questions like, well, I was absent, what did I miss? Because it's going to be available for you. Above that, you'll see Outlook. That is your school-based email. Sometimes students don't know they have a school-based email, but learning to check and maintain email is an important skill for school and for work, because email is one of the main avenues that your college professors or your employer will use to communicate with you. You are expected, for me, to check your school email at least 3 times a week. So make sure that you are getting into the email system and you are checking your school email. Also, be sure to use your school email username and password for any school-related apps or websites. So whether it's for this class or for another class, if your teacher is having you sign up for Remind, I know for my math classes we use GoFormative. We'll probably use that for this class as well. You want to be using your school credentials for school-related accounts. And then we have Focus. Grade Portal will be updated at least weekly. Usually I'm very, very fast at getting things in the gradebook. That having a ton of grading hang over my head is not something that I like to have myself. So please be proactive in checking and make sure you stay up to date. I don't want to be hearing from you 6 or 7 weeks after an assignment was due that there's an issue in the grade book. And you'll be filling out a form for that as well, because I won't remember and you're not going to remember. So if there's something wrong in the grade book or something missing or whatever, like, tell me immediately. Many assignments will be submitted via Focus and many handouts will have extra copies available there. So make sure that you are checking that. Now for engineering, you will receive a hard copy of this and you do need to bring it back. This is an engineering equipment contract, and unfortunately there is a story attached to why this has to be in writing. So participation in the engineering program at Atlantic Coast involves handling expensive and potentially dangerous classroom supplies. These supplies include, but are not limited to, the engineering laptop computers. So we do have computers that are designated for the engineering program. And all of our engineering classes will use them. Soldering irons or other heating elements, that's for the digital electronics class. Electronic components such as DMMs and oscilloscopes, that's POE and DE. Robotics is the next engineering class after this, that's POE. Precise measuring devices such as calipers, I think pretty much all the classes use that, but we definitely will in IED. Drills, screwdrivers, and other tools, that's like our end of the year project. So we're going to have like drills in the classroom and stuff. And we do have a 3D printer and we will be 3D printing quite a few things this year. And it's not just those, it includes those. It is imperative that each student treat all lab materials and supplies with respect, even if those supplies are basic, like rulers and glue. And sometimes students are like, oh, but it's just a ruler or it's just glue, or even toys that are used for function analysis activities. And we will do that as well, where you'll actually be handed a toy, but you are not to play with that toy, whether it is a wind-up toy or a ruler or a soldering iron or a 3D printer, like whatever it is that we're using in this class needs to be treated with respect and with seriousness. There is no playing with any of our equipment. So all safety guidelines must be adhered to. If you are told to pull your hair back when you're using a soldering iron or using a drill, or to take off a sweatshirt, or make sure that the ties on the sweatshirt are tucked in and those sorts of things, you absolutely have to comply with those directions. Misuse of any equipment or supplies will not be tolerated. So no like twirling rulers around and flinging springs or anything like that. If it is a lab supply, it is a lab supply. First infraction will result in immediate suspension of the current activity, which means you will not be allowed to complete that activity, and your parent will be contacted that you are mishandling things. And that can include picking up things that aren't yours, like that belong to another group, or failure to put supplies back that you have taken out. So if you're given a direction like all the rulers need to be stacked here, and then class dismissed and your stuff is all over your desk still, that is still mishandling the equipment. Further infractions will result in a loss of activity privileges and possible removal from the engineering program. So please keep that in mind. Like, we are really, really, really serious about that. Student statement, just I agree to follow all the rules and treat all equipment with respect, and I understand the consequences of failing to do so. And then you're going to print your name and sign your name, and then we want a parent signature on that as well, that your parent understands that if you are like mishandling the equipment, if you are tripping over cords for scales or whatever, you start throwing calipers around, like that we're going to treat that very, very seriously. So hopefully this answers any questions that you might have had, and my email address is on that first slide, so make sure that you email me if you have any questions about anything.